Hi, everybody. Cyclone Polly here again. After the Iowa State Cyclones come back from a 13-point deficit to beat Hawkeyes 66-62. Um, I knew it was going to be like this. I think a lot of us did. Um, there's no way Iowa State was going to keep shooting at the pace they did. I'm going to take my dip out. Sorry about that. That way I don't have to keep stopping to spit. I'm hoping some of my Cyclone Report buddies are going to log on here because that's what I want to do here. I want to chat with everybody. I only have like 6 followers right now, which is no big deal. But anyway, things regressed to the means. We knew Iowa wasn't going to shoot as good as they did in the first half for the whole game. We knew Iowa State wasn't going to shoot as bad as they did for the first game. Cyclones ended up 22 of 52 for 42%. They hit a third of their 3-point shooters, going 5 for 15. Stat I always look at: 10 assists on 22 made baskets. I think that's a lot better. I didn't compare the second or the first half to the second half stats, but it was low early, but still less than 50% of their baskets. A lot of that had to do with Mr. Jefferson, our president, one of our presidents, taking him on the dribble, and so, that happens a lot. Like I posted in the pregame stuff on Cyclone Report, which reminds me, yeah, I take pictures for Cyclone Report, but nothing that is said here reflects the opinions of Cyclone Report, Rivals.com, or the On3 Network, especially since I've been drinking whiskey and Coke Zero since the start of the game. But anyway, hey, wow, there's 4 people here. Guys, jump into the chat and just announce yourself or say hi. I'd like to hear your comments for the game. But like I said, that was a classic Iowa State Iowa game, really. It reminded me of that game, and I suck at names. But it goes back to that Sports Center highlight when Chris Hassel came out and they did that little bit where he's like, "Hey, I just finished Sports Center. How much did Iowa win by?" And then he threw the thing. That's a bit. Chris is a funny guy. I know a lot of people don't like him, and whatever. But he's an entertainer. But enough about him, because Iowa State won, and that's the important thing. A little pressure was off because the ladies secured the CyHawk trophy for the year last night, which was fun. In looking at like my X stats, I still want to call it Twitter, but evidently I'm pretty goddamn entertaining when I am drunk posting on Twitter because I got more likes tonight than I ever have. Non-basketball stuff, I frickin' loved the part when Coach Jimmy dropped the F-bomb in Hilton Coliseum. Probably hasn't happened since the last metal concert in Hilton, which I haven't been to many in years. But typically that's when you see it. Iowa out-rebounded Iowa State 31-28. But Iowa State got them on the offensive glass. They had 10 offensive rebounds to Iowa's 8. The problem with those offensive rebounds is that they weren't converting many of them. But what we're going to hear from Iowa fans for the rest of the year, Iowa State shot 23 free throws, making 17 of them for 74%, which is good given how bad their shooting was in the first half. Iowa shot 5 and made 3. I mean, when it boils down to it, you could say that's the difference in the game. Iowa made more field goals than Iowa State did, 26-22. They hit two more 3-pointers than Iowa State did, 7-5. Um, we turned them over 16 times, which led to 18 points off of turnovers. That's Iowa State's game, So, um, and fast break points. Iowa State had 11-2 in that, which, if I remember correctly, there was zero in the first half. And that's kind of Iowa State's game. But um, were I a gambler? Yeah, I probably would have said, take Iowa with the points because I knew it was going to be tight, and take the under. Um, it's it's definitely, you can see the effects of McCollum on this team. Um, people were joking that we're essentially playing last year's Drake team. But man, they can defend. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to wish them well for the rest of the season. Um, because the better they do, the better our net looks. Um, and just whatever, man. Um, I gave up my hatred for Iowa when Chris Street died. I've talked about that on the board many times. Not going to get into it here. But I just, I'm more about positivity about the Cyclones than I am negativity towards Iowa. Now, the fact that I've lived in Illinois for the last 26 years probably helps a lot about that. But, what the hell? I've got one of my best childhood friends who used to go to Iowa State football games me with a lot when we were little kids. But, he's a Hawk fan. But after the Purdue game, he said after that game, the pucker factor in Iowa City right now is about 99%. He thought the way the game turned there, in the early second half, he thought Iowa State was going to run away with it. And I said, nah. I said, not this game. I said, I knew it was going to go down to the wire. I see there's like four of you here now. Seriously, well, and maybe you're not sure how to do it if you're on your phone. But there is a chat function, and I'd love to hear from you guys. That's the whole reason I do this, really, because I don't want to hear myself talk. I live by myself, kids are all grown up, and I'm divorced. So, yeah, I got the house to myself. Other than my frickin' cat wanting to attack me every time I went to the bathroom. Um, I live by myself. I talk to myself a lot. So, and those of you that know me wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, it was an entertaining game. If you weren't on earlier, I got to say, I loved it when Coach Jimmy dropped the F bomb. I posted on X that I would have loved to have seen a camera isolated on Jamie's face when he did that, just to see his expression when that happened. But anyway, all in all, it's a cyclone state. We always knew it would be. Dudes, John Dayton 9817 says, dude, still not going to root for Iowa, even though it makes our net ranking better. Brother, I hear you, man. I hear you. But I'm not going to watch them. I'm not going to turn on the TV and cheer for them. But I think what McCollum's got going there, I think they're going to win some games because they're playing defense. At one point, I had texted my buddy and I said, you know what? McCollum's pasty white guys are a hell of a lot better than Fran's pasty white guys. So they got that going for them. But, I'm going to take a peek at the box score here. And Sturts ended up with 10 points. I don't know what he averaged, but I know we held him below that. I told my buddy that Manayu, whatever their center, number 3, I thought he was a player of the game for them. 10 points in 21 minutes, 50% from the field, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. He's a pretty good player. My color's changing because I keep putting my cell phone down on my desk here. But Anyway, um, that game was exactly what I expected. Um, if anybody bet the over, if anybody bet the Cyclones to cover, sorry, but that's really kind of what I thought was going to happen. But the good news is we move on. Um, got an easy schedule until the Big 12 starts for now. But the guys need a rest. One of the things I was worried about when I found out that Plato wasn't going to be able to play was, if we get Buchanan or Jefferson in foul trouble, that could be a problem. But I like the way they they let him play for the most part. Um, like I said, Iowa State shooting 23 free throws to Iowa's 5. That's where the Hawk fans are going to go. Oh, goddamn refs, Hilton Coliseum, blah, blah, blah. But Iowa State, when they play defense, they do not foul, you know? Um, the foul that was called on Taman, I thought that was a charge because he had legal defensive position established and the guy basically ran him over. Their feet got tangled. Okay. Um, but is that a foul? Incidental contact? I don't know. I sucked for the one season that I did basketball refereeing back in the early 90s, but I got a 98% on the written test. So I know the rules. Now, this was Iowa high school basketball rules in the early 90s, how that translates to Division One NCAA basketball. Um, yeah, it's a different game, but the definition of charging pretty much hasn't changed. I know they enforce it a little different the last couple of seasons. Um, but what the hell? Um, he was in front of him. He had legal guarding position. That's one of the things that always irks me. Um, I took high school sports photos for 13 years, and I don't care which team it was. When I heard somebody yell, "Well, he wasn't set," in complaining about charge calls, there's nothing in the rule book that says the guy's got to be set. You can be moving and draw a charge. You have, if you've established legal guarding position, which technically means if the center of your torso is in between the outside of the shoulders of the offensive player, you're in legal guarding position. So anyway, I've only had one person comment, and I know we're down to two people watching again. So I guess my hopes that I could turn this into a post game chat um, aren't happening. But knowing the Iowa State fan base, um, they've been enjoying this game with a cocktail or two, and they probably got to make so many trips to the restroom that they can't stay online very long. I'm amazed that I've gone over 13 minutes and haven't had to pee yet, but that's just me. But anyway, um, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. I think if you're watching this later, you can you can comment on this, and so um please do comment on the message board, whatever you want to do. That's cool. um just looking at the upcoming schedule here, if I can like get my phone to work. um Let me do it this way. You guys probably already know this, so I don't know why I'm saying it. Next game for the Cyclones. uh Says we're playing EIU on Sunday the 14th. Didn't we just play EIU? I'm assuming that's Eastern Illinois. It's on ESPN Plus Sunday at noon. I'm going to go ahead and do my Yahoo Sports pick. And now that I see the Iowa State Cyclones on the Yahoo app, 92% are picking the Cyclones to win. And then ladies are back in action on Sunday the 14th as well. 5 o'clock, another in-state battle against the UNI Panthers, who are 4-5. Probably going to be another blowout, but you never know in these in-state games. There's only 32 people picked so far on Yahoo Sports, but 100% of them have picked Iowa State in this. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Um, I got one comment this time, and I had 5 people actually watching at one point. So I think that's like a 110% increase of the last time I did this. I didn't do it after the women's game. Um, basically because I was tired. But anyway, thanks a lot. Um, hope everybody has a good night. If you did attend the game and you're enjoying some post game cocktails, drive home safe. And we'll see you next time.